Tonight, we have one of the first survivor stories from that massive oil well blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. One man's compelling story of how he made it off an oil rig that had become a raging inferno. As BP scrambles to stop oil spewing into Gulf waters, we have been tracking some disturbing questions being raised about the frantic hours right after the explosion. 115 people survived the blast, but 11 others were not so lucky. Just hours after being rescued, some of the survivors say they were coerced by the rig's operator, Transocean, into signing legal waivers, including crew member Chris Choi, who today suffers from flashbacks and nightmares over the ordeal. He joins us tonight along with his attorney, Stephen Gordon. I want to talk about this waiver, Chris, and the lawsuit that you filed against Transocean BP.
It was the motor in the lifeboat. The life capsule's the motor that drives it. They couldn't start it for a minute. And I decided I didn't want to make it all the way to the life capsule and then burn there. So yeah, I took my seatbelt and stuff back on. I was fixing to start trying to crawl out the door to jump in myself.
Wow, I can't imagine what it would have been like to be in that situation. So you eventually made it in the lifeboat to a supply ship and then back to shore to a hotel, which is where you were asked by Transocean to sign this waiver that I have in my hand here, which says you were asked, I was not a witness to the incident requiring the evacuation and have had no firsthand or personal knowledge regarding the incident. You put your signature to that. You were also asked if you were injured, and you said, I was not injured as a result of the incident or the evacuation. Why did they say to you that they wanted you to sign these?
They told me and my wife were actually about to leave the hotel to come home. They caught me right before I went out of the door. They told me it was just a statement saying that I was off tower, that I wasn't working, and I didn't see what happened leading up to the incident. And, you know, me and my wife were just trying to get home to see the rest of our family, and they said just, you know, sign here, initial here, sign this.
All right, well, let's bring in your attorney, Steve Gordon. Steve, what are you contending in your lawsuit regarding this particular waiver?
Good evening, John. Well, regarding the waiver, it just, I understand that they have a right to investigate the claim. However, the way they kept these crew members offshore for over 20 hours is wholly unnecessary. These people give their lives to their job, and some died in this incident. Right. And by keeping them offshore, they actually added additional emotional distress. We are maritime lawyers, and people get hurt all the time, and they helicopter them in.
So is your contention that it was premature for anybody to be signing a waiver that says I was not injured? Because I think, as you say in your lawsuit, there are emotional scars that he is suffering, a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, though not fully diagnosed.
Exactly. He did not even have a chance to have his first nightmare. He was up for 60 hours, and they are trying to use this release or waiver, whatever you want to call it, as a defense to him making a claim now.
Right. Now,
it's really irresponsible.
Transocean has answered your claim saying, we were surprised to receive your letter of representation, this is to you, Stephen, in light of the attached statement executed by your client indicating that he did not sustain any injury whatsoever as a result of the April 20th, 2010 accident. They're saying he signed this waiver. How can you make any claim that he's got any health problems?
Well, we think that the court will completely disregard that, but it just shows you that they were irresponsible and that they tried to do this. They didn't want them to get ashore. They could have easily brought them into Port Fourchon and talked to them there with their family members. It was just irresponsible.
I just can't believe what we saw today. It's just, you know, this is just the very beginning of it. I think that the worst is yet to come, and it hasn't even scratched the surface as far as the damage that's going to happen.
Every security guard here has given the instructions to every single news crew. You can be with outside of 100 yards of the workers or on the boom.
And who's saying that? Because nobody can tell me, unless you're the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, you're the Coast Guard, or you're the military, can you tell me where to go on this public beach?
I can tell you where to go because I'm employed to keep this beach safe. And right now, those are my instructions. I have to keep the workers safe as well.
I'm going to go and try and talk to a worker under the tent. Can I do that?
No.
He's on a break.
You are not allowed to interview any workers.
The workers can talk to the media, according to the BP CEO 2 days ago.
That
word still hasn't trickled down to you all?
We've already heard that one too. Yeah.
What do you mean you've heard that one? It's true.
The email does not explicitly give you permission to do that.
There are quotes from Doug Suttles that say, no one has been barred access to talk to the media, and that it's a misunderstanding, and the word hasn't trickled down to all the appropriate channels yet. That's what he said 2 days ago. So 2 days later, that word still hasn't trickled down.
The word has it's been briefed to us.
By whom? Who's briefing you all?
That's not important right now.
Well, if you're telling me that I can't do it, it's important that I know who's briefing you.
What's important right now is you cannot talk to the workers. You're interfering with their jobs right now.
If there's somebody on break, I'm interfering with his job?
Yes, you're interfering with his rest. Sir, you cannot talk to anybody there.
Can I yell from a distance?
No. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Sir, you cannot interview the workers.
So there are certain flight zones that you couldn't go over at all. And then there are other zones where you had to maintain a 3,000-foot elevation. So primarily for the flight today, I believe we were around 2,500 to 3,000 feet. But there are certain areas that we couldn't fly over at all. And he kind of shows that on a map. So yeah, there are flight restrictions, but there's a lot of activity going on down there too. I mean, I saw countless helicopters down below us.
And I guess I got 11 miles south of here, and it was really close because we landed. I got a phone call saying, "How close did you get?" So I went to the fix and made a right-hand turn, and it was the Department of Homeland Security, Air and Marine Division. They called.
You're kidding me? They called you as soon as you landed.
Yeah. And I was 11 miles, and she's, well, we're looking for another aircraft that was 40 miles south. And I think they were looking to violate them. Federal charges, yeah. Army was here. I mean, this is big time. Army, there were a couple Army airplanes, a couple Blackhawks. Who else was Department of Homeland Security? Yeah, when they close down airspace like that, you don't want to mess with it. A buddy of mine.
Why are they closing down the airspace? Do you know?
I have no idea why they do it.
My travel partner, Jet, actually did some research with West Jefferson Medical Center in Marrero, Louisiana. Yeah, and basically what they told us, that was between May 26th and May 30th, there have been 2 emergency admits, 6 ambulance, 3 helicopter, and 2 walk-ins. Oh, I'm so sorry, 11 emergency admits, 6 ambulance, 3 helicopter, 2 walk-ins. The symptoms were nausea, dizziness, severe headaches, respiratory distress. They were caused by chemical exposure to fumes from oil and dispersants. After that, after May 31st, they opened a first aid tent on Grand Isle and also one at Lafitte. And over 70 people have been treated there in those 2 places. And they have begun pre-screening cleanup workers.
There are now reports of crews cleaning the oil spill in the Gulf actually falling ill. Some of them have even been hospitalized with flu-like symptoms, and they're calling it now Gulf oil syndromes. A lot of questions about how serious this is and what exactly we're looking at here. Jamie Colby's here. She's been looking at it as well. Jamie, what have you learned?
Yeah, Jane, we took a good look at this, and there are nearly 80 cases reported so far, mostly the workers, some residents, and a handful of hospitalizations. Mostly body aches, skin irritation, headaches, dizziness, nausea, and respiratory ailments. But now Dr. Manny Alvarez of Fox's Medical Aid team says America is facing a crisis. He calls it Gulf oil syndrome, and he says we need to watch out for serious health issues, even the potential damage to the brain.
You would have some cognitive deficiencies, memory loss, confusion, haze. That's usually in an adult brain. Problem is in a young brain. We got to monitor the rates of autism and learning disability.
So Dr. Manny says right now those at greatest risk are the workers on the front lines cleaning up the spill and those in the neighboring communities, followed by folks with chronic diseases, pregnant women, and children. Right now the CDC, the Department of Health and Human Services, OSHA, and the EPA, they're all with teams there monitoring the impact, and doctors say this is an unprecedented disaster.
Clearly they're toxins. They're chemicals that are not supposed to be in the human body. So they are toxic to many organ systems, especially the nervous system.
If they don't contain this thing, and this is a big if they don't, with the toxic gases that are coming out of this well with the oil, hydrogen sulfide, benzene, methylene chloride, and our stupid congressman up there, they haven't got the backbone of a jellyfish. they don't have an ounce of care for human beings, or they'd be telling them what the Environmental Protection Agency has found that is blowing over the land. Now, I was a pilot for 30 years. I know that prevailing winds are from the northwest to the southeast, and these gases are blowing over the Delta, over Florida, and if they do not cap this well, you are going to see people sick. You might even see an evacuation of certain parts of the Gulf and Florida. It is going to affect the finances, economy of this country in a way that you can't even imagine.
Warns that the Gulf of Mexico seafloor has been fractured beyond all repair, and our world should begin preparing for an ecological disaster beyond comprehension unless extraordinary measures are undertaken to stop the massive flow of oil into our planet's 11th largest body of water.
The point that I'm trying to get across tonight is this, is that we are now in a chemical soup, worst case nightmare. The pressure that is building, as Pastor Lindsey Williams was talking about, at 25,000 feet. See, everybody's dealing, and God bless Lindsey for bringing this out. The pressure at 25,000 feet and the depth of the well, and if a magma chamber ruptures, then what happens with all the oil that is volatile? What happens with all the chemicals that are off-gassing? And what happens when you get, I love the word, magma, molten magma mixing with the chemical soup? Well, I think you can probably figure it out. Not to mention the methane hydrate that will turn obviously to methane gas, and then we got a problem, ladies and gentlemen, and Houston won't be able to solve it. As in fact, Houston's in big trouble. The point that I'm trying to get across to you tonight, those of you who can move out of the Gulf Coast, who have the capability, I would suggest that you should move now. If you've listened to anybody who has ever been a refugee, you do not want to be it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the famine that is associated with this incident in the Gulf is so staggering in the ramifications. I think even mainstream media is carrying that 40 to 50% of the United States citizens on the Gulf Coast live by the protein of the sea.
This is the first time you've seen it. What was your initial response?
I'm just, I'm totally shocked. I didn't think that it was that heavy. It's spreading fast. It's spreading very, very
like
fast.
A lacquer over the water to me.
And it's it's very thick. That's what we didn't realize. It's very thick. It's not just a film. It's a couple of coats. It's going to be. I tell you what, I didn't think it was that bad. It's heading into the marshlands, yes, sir. And
there was no one there doing anything.
We've been at it all our lives, and I'm 63. I don't know of anything else to do.
Sam filed his claim with BP on Tuesday, but he said he doesn't want to deal with lawyers and phone calls and backlog. He just wants to work.
How much do you love this business? 30 years.
You love it.
And you're scared.
Yeah.
Can I yell from a distance?
No. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Sir, you cannot interview the workers. You cannot interview the workers.
They haven't got the backbone of a jellyfish.